Eclipse season is upon us and is asking us to feel our emotions. Welcome to the Hella Fluid Collective podcast, where astrology meets small business. I give both month and week ahead horoscopes so business owners and other business people can tap into the available energies. As always, there is a summary of all of the transits down below, so you don't need to keep track of everything because I got it all nicely organized for you. Today, we will be talking about the month of September. The month ahead forecast is a summary of all the main transits, mostly if there's any planets moving into other signs, the new and full moon, and if there's any outer planets making a connection. For details about every single transit that's happening, make sure you tap into the week ahead horoscope. I go over every single transit. This is the collective astrology, meaning it's happening for everybody. However, how it hits your personal chart will take precedent. So if you want a personal reading, be sure to check the link below and book one with me. If you're not feeling the energy of these transits, then it's very likely the people around you will be, and we as business owners, it's good to know what the collective is feeling, experiencing, going through, so that we can change our expectations and our communication a little bit. If you want this horoscope sent to your inbox, make sure you subscribe to my email newsletter, or at least subscribe to this channel so that you can get the video format. I also write a blog with all the same information, so if you prefer to read, then that's in the email newsletter. Last announcement, I promise. I am hosting an online virtual quarterly planning workshop later on in September, and this is all geared towards looking at the astrology for the fall season. We're going to be looking at any of the big transits, and I'm going to have a lot of information to help you figure out where it's happening in your chart so that you can understand which areas of life are getting a little bit of focus. We won't go into what the planets are doing because then I'd have to give a personal reading to everyone, and that's not how a workshop works. However, I will have information and graphics and all this cool stuff so that you can dive into quickly understanding what areas of life it's hitting for you and what that means. It'll be a hands-on workshop where you will leave having a better understanding of what's going on in the world and for you for the next 3 months. All right, let's get into the astrology for September 2024. The first transit that we get is on September 1st, and that's Uranus stationing retrograde. This happens every single year for about 5 months or so it's really not that big of a deal since we're going through it half the time. Uranus rules our progress, our independence, our need to be unique, freedom, and liberation. Right now, and since 2018, it's been in the sign of Taurus. So it's asking us to review our relationship with money, material goods, and our sense of stability. When it goes retrograde, we're reviewing things, we're turning inward, and we're looking at our connection to wealth. What are the mindsets that we have around wealth and around material goods and money? It gives a sense of revolutionizing material values. It really could change your ideology around what you think you need to be happy. This is also a time for, since Uranus is an outer planet, that means it's going to represent societal values as well. So it's a time for us in society to review our values and connections to money. I think this is showing up in a way of how celebrity culture is dying down a little bit. We're seeing that having all this fame and money isn't necessarily equating to being a good person or being happy. And so that's kind of dissipating in a way. I think we as humans are slowly moving in that direction of what as well, seeing that it's not necessarily all about wealth. Obviously, in a capitalistic world, we need money to move forward. So I'm not saying, to stop worrying about money or anything like that. But if you're in a space where you're wanting more and you just don't have a limit on when enough is enough, this is a really good transit to ask yourself, wait, am I one of those people? Do I know when enough is enough? How much money do I actually want to make in order to get all the things that I'd like? Or is it just an endless, I want everything and I want as much of it as possible? Is that really a healthy mindset? It could be a really good time to actually calculate that number. Figure out literally everything you want. Like if you want all the skincare, if you want this and that, if you want trips, write it all down and get real with yourself about what that number really is. At least just get intentional about what you want. And when you have that list in front of you as well, you can figure out why you really need those things. Do you really need 20 different face serums, or can you find one or two that you really like and continue to use that? There is no right answer. It's just about getting intentional and digging down into why you want these things. As for business owners, it's a good time to see how these values and everything we've just been talking about go into your practice and into your business. Are you only putting out products and services that have the highest profit margin because you're only focused on money? Or is there space for you to focus on your customers and clients' needs and your needs just a little bit more? How can you offer more stability for you, your business, and your clients? It's a good time to come back to your values and your missions. And if you've, strayed away from that just to stay afloat, no shame. Is there any way you can bring it back in? Is there any way you can liberate yourself from restrictions that you're putting on yourself that may not be necessary? If they're necessary, okay, fine. We're just talking about the unnecessary ones. For example, do you continue to say, oh, we don't have enough money to pay people X amount? But have you realized that when you pay someone a lower amount, you're going to get less quality of work? So where can you let go a little bit to get more, if that makes sense? Okay, on that same day, we get Pluto moving back into the sign of Capricorn. This is because Pluto is already in its retrograde phase of the year, and Pluto will be in Capricorn until November 20th. On November 20th, it moves back into Aquarius. Well, it will stay for good. We are done with Pluto in Capricorn for anybody in this lifetime. Anyone that's living now will never experience it again. This is because Pluto takes about 250 years or so to move through all the signs. Pluto rules transformation, depth, death and rebirth, power dynamics. It can bring destruction in order to bring something new. Think about like the phoenix that rises from the ashes, or demolition day for a home renovation. It's messy, it's loud, but in the end you might have a beautiful kitchen. That's way better. Now, Capricorn represents systems and infrastructure and status and institutions. It also rules governments. Basically anything that kind of formulates how something runs. And especially we're talking about it on a societal level because Pluto is a societal planet. It's the furthest planet away, so its impacts are going to impact, generations and society as a whole. It's not so much a personal planet like the inner planets. So back to Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn, so there's this strong sense of right versus wrong. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, and it brought a lot of transformation to our systems, to our government. We are changing the lens of which we are viewing and analyzing our government, especially here in America. Pluto also reveals hidden truths, so we are uncovering a lot of things about our government. With Pluto moving back into Capricorn and it moving so slowly, it's going to be in the 29th degree of Capricorn. And the 29th degree of any sign is a very critical degree because it's a culmination of all of that energy and all of the experiences that have happened through that transit. So I do think this is going to be somewhat of an intense couple of months in terms of things in our society and our systems, our infrastructure, and our government. I am not surprised that we are having an election during this time, and an election that has a lot of weight on it. I do think this time may bring up some things that we've already uncovered, or maybe it'll uncover even deeper during this time. It may be a little messy. However, in November, Pluto moves into Aquarius for good, which is more about community, the collective. It is about the individual, but the individual showing up in an authentic way in order to benefit the whole collective instead of us showing up in the way we think we're supposed to. I do think this could be a little bit of last demolition day before we start to see what is possible in moving forward. Pluto is a slow-moving planet, and these kind of changes take a long time. I'm not saying next year everything's going to get better. However, we could start to see what's possible, hopefully. I am an optimist. Anything that comes up in the next few months, it could be kind of uncomfortable. It could feel like, oh, why are we going back to this? We already started to move forward. And I wouldn't get frustrated by that. It's just more so of a reminder of what we're trying to move away from. For anyone that wears heels, I don't know, like when you're wearing heels all day and then you take your shoes off, and if you try to put your heels back on, like sometimes your foot can expand and it's like not really going to fit that well. That I feel like is what Pluto and Capricorn for the next couple of months is going to feel like. It's going to feel like it doesn't fit so well. But that's okay. It's just a reminder. For business, I would use this energy to understand the structure and the values of your business. Are you perpetuating any ideologies that you don't actually agree with, but you put in your business because that's what we do in business? You know what I mean? Like, this is a time to understand how we can create something new. So figure out how you can do that with your business without, it being detrimental to your business and your team and your income, of course, but see how you can start to make those little tweaks. How can you create a more fair and balanced business to yourself, to your team, to your clients, to your customers, to the community? Overall, revisit your core values and why you started this business in the first place, and make sure that your business structure and operations still align with that. Okay, we are literally only on September 2nd, which brings us a new moon in Virgo. A new moon always represents beginnings, a new start, and Virgo is all about getting organized, getting efficient, getting analytical, and getting grounded in your day-to-day routines. This is a good energy to get more serious about the self-care routines you have on a day-to-day basis. Virgo also rules health and wellness, so if there's any sort of practice that you wanted to start doing to take care of yourself, this is a good energy to tap into that. If you made a promise to yourself that you are going to organize some aspect of your life, this is energy to do that. This new moon is paired with a couple of transits. Is it a pair? Anyways, we get a Mars square Neptune happening very closely with this new moon, which may be a little bit of frustrating energy and have you not understand which direction to go in. Maybe wanting to take action, but you don't know which way to go or what to do. It could also manifest as having energy to do something, then you get burnt out. So just be really mindful of your energy levels for that day. We also get a Chiron trine to Mercury, which we've had already due to the Mercury retrograde, so we're getting it again. And this is super supportive energy towards healing through communication, through writing, through journaling. So you may find that a certain conversation or journaling can be super therapeutic during this time. As for business owners, I would use this new moon to get organized, especially around your operations, because Virgo loves efficiency. So if you're trying to streamline something, if you're trying to automate something, this energy could be really helpful for that. Little plug, I help people do that, so make sure you check my links in the description if you want some help getting your operations organized. Anyways, It's also a really good time to make sure you have a healthy work environment. If you have a team, making sure that there's clear spaces and channels for communication and support. If you work by yourself, that still stands. Make sure your expectations for yourself are realistic and that you're working in breaks or whatever it is you need to stay balanced and healthy. On September 4th, we have Mars moving into the sign of Cancer. It will be here until November 4th. So we get a solid couple of months of this energy. Mars is all about how we assert ourselves, our desires, how we handle conflict, and physical energy as well. And Cancer is all about our emotions, be it a water sign, our intuition, and what we want to nurture, what we want to take care of and protect. It also rules what feels like home to us. Some people say, your home and your family and your domestic life, but sometimes, depending on where it hits your chart, there's other things that can feel a bit more like home to us. With this, we may be taking action that's really emotionally based, for better or for worse. So it'll be a really good time to get in touch with your emotions and understand them. Mars also becomes a little less aggressive and a bit more nurturing and protective. However, sometimes we can get aggressive when we're being protective, so there is a heightened sense of that as well. There definitely could be a shift towards home and family and taking action towards those things. As for business owners, it's really good energy to get in touch with the emotional side of your audience and your clients. Get a bit more personal with the things that you're doing and melt this into your business practices and strategies. Also, take steps to protect your business. Insurance, cybersecurity, intellectual property, contracts, all those things. You might have more energy to get those things done if it's something that overwhelms you. This will be a really good time to do that. It's supportive energy to help you make sure that you do that and have the patience to follow through. Lastly, make sure you are nurturing your network, taking care of them, making them feel good. Then on September 8th, we have Mercury moving back into the sign of Virgo because she moved out of the sign of Virgo in her retrograde. Retrograde ended on August 28th, by the way. We're still in the Mercury shadow until September 11th, which means it's just going over the same path it already has during its retrograde. Mercury will be in Virgo until September 26th. With Mercury in Virgo, our mind, our communication gets that dose of organization, efficiency, getting analytical, and also a shift towards being of service. There's definitely a sense of helping and wanting to be super helpful in conversation. Our thought patterns may be really focused on how we can make something better. We and others are also really into the details right now. So if there's something that takes a lot of nitty-gritty details, this little Mercury in Virgo season might give you an extra boost to have more patience with those little details if you don't normally love the details. For business owners, this is a time of practical and detailed communications. So if you need to write something that has a lot of steps, you might have the patience to do it a little bit better. It's also perfect for planning. Mercury in Virgo also offers an analytical mind, so it helps you go over all the things so that you do create a really good and efficient plan. If there's any snafus that come up, you might have the mindset to work through them. On September 17th, we get the first of two, because they always come in pairs, eclipses. On September 17th, it is a full moon lunar eclipse, and it takes place in the sign of Pisces. Full moons are always emotional because the moon represents our emotions and our inner self. When it's full, all of those things are very big. Pisces is a water sign and is often known as one of the most emotional signs, so that's going to double down on our emotions and getting in touch with our emotions and feeling our emotions. On top of that, this full moon only happens a couple degrees away from Neptune. Neptune rules Pisces, so it triples down on the emotions. Neptune is known to be boundless, so our emotions could just come pouring out, which is not a bad thing. says the Pisces. Emotions help us release energy. They help us guide us to what to do next. Maybe we don't want to act out of our emotions, but we can get curious about our emotions. Why are we feeling this way? What does it stem from? Eclipse season always brings a bit of chaos in the sense of its unexpected energy. There's more opportunity for sudden change. And honestly, with eclipses, because it's about our feelings and especially this full moon, there's not too much you can do to prepare for it other than to just allow yourself to feel the way you feel instead of judging yourself for the way you feel. It will definitely be a good time to practice boundaries. I do want to say we have a Mercury opposite to Saturn very tight within this lunar eclipse chart. So that could make us feel a little bit restricted in communicating our needs. If this happens, again, get curious about why you're feeling a pullback from expressing what you need. Is it because you don't feel comfortable around the person you need to express them with? Is it because you don't actually know what they are and you need to process them a little bit more? That's also Mercury. It's just going to add a bit of restriction around mental clarity because restriction is Saturn. Neptune brings confusion. So we may not know exactly what to do during this full moon, which is why I just suggest you feel. People and we might be more sensitive, so just be mindful of that. As for business owners, do what you can to stay flexible. Because there's a lot of unexpectedness, it's hard to run business in unexpectedness, so just be prepared for a little disruption. Also, people may be calling in sick because they just can't deal with it. This is also not the time to be telling it like it is. People are going to be really upset if you are not being sensitive because they're going to be sensitive. So do what you can to communicate with a bit more compassion. If you wanted to channel this energy into something, it could be a really good opportunity for a creative project. Something where you can just kind of get lost in. Something that you feel very intuitive about, whether it's writing, creating new products, anything like that. You might also find that if you're having any sort of blocks, that doing a creative project could help push through that. So if you ever limit yourself from, taking a little draw break in the middle of the day because you're on the clock or whatever, this could prove to be really helpful during this time. Just try it and see if other unrelated ideas might come through afterwards ordering. On September 22nd, we get the sun moving into the sign of Libra. Happy birthday to all the Libras out there. Libra energy brings a sense of balance, of beauty, of harmony. And after the knocking around of the first eclipse, it may bring a little bit of balance back into the picture. I do want to mention that the second eclipse, because again, they always come in pairs, happens on October 2nd, and that is the solar eclipse. So for a majority, I'd say about 3/4 of Libra season, it will be after the eclipse. That's why I say that Libra season could start to give us a little bit of balance after we've had a little bit of chaos in September and August for sure. Libra season also shines light on our relationships. As for business owners, the sun in Libra is a great time to start or work on collaborations. It's also a good time to connect with your clients and your customers and show them how you offer high quality products or services. We, as a collective, are generally a bit more easygoing and social. It's also a really good time to host an event. Lastly, Libra loves beautiful things and great aesthetic, so it's a good time to look at your branding, whether that be your logos, your email, your social media, your product design. If you don't generally love doing these things, you might have a little bit more life force to do these things during Libra season. There's definitely an increase of beauty, both for you and the people that are looking at your things. Then on September 26th, we get Venus moving into the sign of Scorpio, which is the first taste of Scorpio that we're going to get for this season. She is in Scorpio until October 17th. In modern astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. In traditional astrology, it's ruled by Mars. Scorpio energy is about depth. It is a water sign. I feel like a lot of people forget that, but it is a water sign, so it is emotional. It's about going deep within your emotional and getting super authentic. People aren't really gonna have their values focused on things that don't really matter. Scorpio is all about getting real. Venus in Scorpio gives a flavor of passion, depth, and intensity towards our relationships, our finances, and our value systems. We're going to value deep connections with others, and any sort of fluffy, fake friendships aren't really going to matter during this time. As for business owners, Venus in Scorpio gives a heightened sense of charm. So as long as you're getting real with people and not just serving them BS, people could be really drawn to you. Get vulnerable with your audience in order to connect with them beyond just the basic marketing jargon. Scorpio can also be a little bit provocative, so if you have something you want to say that's a little bit out there, not just to grab views, but because it's true, now would be a good time to put it out there. Again, remember, we're still kind of feeling the Pisces lunar eclipse feel, so people are going to be really sensitive. So it's not to be rude, it's more to be like, I never thought of it that way. This energy also is a great time to go deep into your business values. Again, continued energy from the rest of the month. Dig deep, figure out what they are. There's big energy to make shifts towards the products and services that you're offering. The last transit that we'll be talking about today is Mercury moving into the sign of Libra, which happens on September 26th, where it will be until October 13th. Mercury in Libra brings a sense of balance, harmony, and beauty into our communications, our thought process, and the mind. It may enhance our abilities to see things from different perspectives, which continues the energy for lovely collaborations. This all gets supercharged on September 30th because the Sun and Mercury connect in the sky. We get a boost of mental and communicative clarity. As for business owners, it's a really good time for collaborations, negotiations, and really beautiful communications. If you need to have a harder conversation with a team member or a collaborator, this energy could bring in a bit of softness to it. That's it for September. Thank you so much for being here. You can thank yourself for being here, getting ahead of the month. If you enjoyed this content, please make sure you like this video, subscribe, better yet, send it to somebody, help a small business owner grow. If you want to take it even further, follow me on all the socials. I am on Instagram and TikTok. Those are linked below. And on there is where I post the transits every single day. I make more astrology content, and I also have some content around task management and alignment and mindsets for small business owners. Thank you guys so much for being here, and until next time, stay hella fluid, y'all.